I'd like to call this meeting to order. This time we'll have the pastor from Hawkins United Methodist Church come up and pray for us, please.
Thank you for inviting me to this to open the session in prayer this afternoon. It is truly an honor. Let us now settle our hearts for just a moment. Please bow your head if you feel led to do so. Dear God, thank you for the gift of life. Help our leaders to be persons with integrity and sincerity. Help us to listen to our leaders with appreciation and understanding. Help us all to speak with generosity and moderation. Give us a spirit of service. Remind our leaders that they are stewards of authority. Guide them to be the leaders that the students in Vicksburg and Warren County need them to be. Help us to see the dignity of all people, regardless whether they are our friends or enemies, and to treat them with reverence. May we reflect on our own motives. Help us to become ever more aware of the unfortunate fact that there are children in our school district who are hungry, thirsty, cold, in poverty, in situations that no child should have to endure. And enable us to be instruments of your grace to these children. Help us not to look to our own interests, but to the interests of others. In your name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Everybody has the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Make a motion we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
The moving properly second that we adopt, made a motion to adopt the agenda. Are you ready to vote?
Ready.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion so carried. Mr. Secretary?
Yes, board members, you have before you the minutes for your regular scheduled board meeting on November 21st, 2019. Are there any additions or deletions to the minutes as presented? Seeing as no additions, I make a motion that we accept the minutes for the November 21st meeting as presented.
There's a motion to
A second motion.
move the second that we approve the minutes of the November 21st meeting. Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion so carries. Before the superintendent gives his report, we did not call each other and ask to dress, though. I don't know how this happened, but he has his sweater on, I have my sweater on.
You're split up at Bert.
But at this time, Mr. Superintendent, it's all yours.
We had a great Tuesday tour. Had a good participation. A couple of school districts came in. We also had the Beaumont Leadership Day. We had the Energy Academy Council meeting, and that is continuing to move forward. So we have now secured the Mississippi Development Authority as the authorizing and distributing funds body, and they are getting all that money back out to us. So we've got Claiborne County and Warren County that serve on that, as well as Entergy. Coach Stevens serves as a representative from Warren County. So we're moving forward full steam ahead on our Energy Academy. Also, we have pencil and upslope training. Both of those, pencil is our connection with Nashville, which becomes the entity through which the business and the chamber really step up their involvement, and they were able to kind of fine-tune some of the mechanisms through funding and how that operates. So it was great to have them in. And of course, Upslope was the training you approved that systemizes the way that we deal with all personnel issues, which is great. It was awesome training. Jim was actually there all 3 days, and Coach popped in there too. And we were able to see how systematically now everybody can be informed about where they are when an issue occurs. So that was great. And also it unifies the conversations that our principals are having across the district with their staff and central office. Met with the hospital. Merit Health had a great meeting with them, talking about how we're going to renegotiate the street clinic project. We didn't get that funded through the first grant that we went through, so we're actually working with the U.S. Department of Agriculture and they are heading us off in a different direction. So we still have breath in it, it's just not running yet. We met with Ken Harper, newly elected, what is he?
County attorney.
Thank you, county attorney, prosecutor, and he was talking about some of the involvement that he wants to be in touch with in order to help our kids along the way, long before they're standing in court with an issue, it was a great visit. Met with Marvin Noak, solidifying a lot of our memorandums. Dr. Muse has announced his retirement, so we're just making sure everything is shored up and that we don't have to take a back step for anybody that moves into that position. And then, of course, met with Dr. Jeff Holland today. He was newly elected as the District 4 supervisor. So he had some things that he wanted to share with us, and it was very encouraging to listen to his take on how the Board of Supervisors will be moving forward to help support the school district. So that was me.
And you want to talk about the accreditation status?
Oh, yeah, I do. That's two, isn't it? We received our letter, and you should have a copy of that. We were accredited for another year. Yay.
Really good.
That was it? That was it?
That's it.
Yay! Yay!
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Okay.
At this time, Mr. Bailey,
Good evening, gentle people.
good evening.
Jason and I are going to team hit again. He's going to do his report after I go over some recommended award of bids with you. And you should have in your packet 3 Dale Bailey letterhead items that I'll try to keep straight and go in an order that makes some sense. The first one is actually a correction of a bid. Last time you awarded a bid on Phase 2 of the athletics at Warren Central to Alliant Construction. And even though our budget numbers that we gave you were correct, there was an error because on their bid form they had submitted an ad at bid time of $90,000 on the envelope. It did not make it to the number that you approved. So I think Briggs, to properly do this, they need to reject the first bid and award this one as recommended here to just properly document everything, if that's okay. The award is the same. The amount is $5,195,500. So you're rejecting the Warren Central Phase 2 athletics from the last board meeting and awarding it from this one. Any questions on that?
Do we need to do that like that?
So the overall amount we approved last time did not change, or it's $90,000?
No, the budget did not change. The amount was wrong. The amount was $90,000.
And was it still the cheapest bid?
Oh, it is, yeah. We
Okay.
double checked.
That's my question. Is it still, I don't see it in here, but I'm sure it's
It
in
did
here.
not change bidders.
Lowest, they're still lowest to
They're
best
still
bidder.
lowest bidders.
So the motion would be to reject the approval of the bid for at last month's meeting.
Yes, sir.
So we need to have 2 motions for
Yeah,
it?
that'd be your first motion.
Okay. I make a motion that we reject Phase 2 athletic construction bid from the November meeting.
Second. Got a motion
For
Just
Warren
for Warren
Central.
Central.
to reject Phase 2 bid for Warren Central.
Second.
There is a second? Second. Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion so carried.
And now the motion
I
be
make-
to accept and approve the lowest and best bid of blank amount to
What's the dollar?
$5,195,500.
which vendor? Which vendor is that?
Alliant. Ergon,
It's still Argonne, right?
yes. A division of Ergon. Alliant Construction, a division of Ergon.
Before they do that, Gary, let me ask you, just to make sure we're clear on the bid, just so this is clear for audit purposes, what they had in there included the money, it just was not tabulated or found in the amount. Is that kind of what happened on the bid process?
Last time, the bid tabulation did not have the $90,000 on it, nor did the letter have the $90,000 on it. Our summary of the overall district budget, we had it correctly shown when we were discussing budget. So I'm saying it didn't change your master budget. It does, you are paying $90,000 more than we thought.
Okay. Was there nothing else changed? I want to make sure the other bidders, there's no question about the other bidders.
Now,
had
they're
an
still
opportunity.
lowest and best.
They're still lowest and best. All bids were considered. This didn't change anything.
It's
So
not
what,
changing.
what was the reason for the $90,000 change?
contractors are allowed on bid day to modify their bid on the envelope, and they had a ad of $90,000 on their envelope. When we were doing all the paperwork, we looked at the actual bid and didn't look at the envelope, so we missed it. It was just an error, a mathematical error. It did not change lowest or best by any of the bids.
This is a clerical error?
Yes.
This would be, all right.
Or stupid error by the architect, whichever
Well,
one the first.
Yeah, I understand.
Are we good?
Yeah, I would put a note in the minutes, though, that it's just for clerical, due to clerical error or tabulation error.
It did
whatever
not
you
change the
wanna call
fact of the bid opening.
it. Yeah.
Okay. I make a motion that we accept the amended bid. Is that what I need to say, or the clerical
I
adjustment?
think it's still the same bid, but it was, the bid was due to a clerical error.
Clerical error.
The previous bid was incorrect, and this is the new bid. So I'm trying to think how to phrase that on the minutes. I'll just start it with due to the clerical
Due to a
error
clerical
and
error,
tabulation.
I make a motion to accept a new bid of $5,195,500.
Second.
Moved and properly second that we approve the motion for the bid of whatever you just said.
$5,195,500.
Thank you. Are you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion so carries.
Okay, you should have a single-page Dale Bailey letter for Bovina and South Park bids. If you can find that. It bid last week, those projects, they were separate bid documents, a contract A, which was Bovina, and contract B, which is South Park. They were bid individually. We ended up with the same contractor low on both, but they are separate bids that need to be awarded separately. So let me explain the base bids and the alternates. Paul Jackson and Son is the low bidder, just for clarification there. The Bovina project was a base bid of $1,898,000. We had 3 paving alternates, and it's clear we need to make sure you understand what you're approving here. It was different levels of the parking lot, different extensions of it, just to hopefully control costs. We need to do all 3 of them, so we're going to recommend awarding the base and all alternates. That's not rocket science. It's a total of $1,953,000. What I do need you to understand is that the drive that goes to Bovina Elementary School is not your property. It is owned by the county, and it's been double checked, triple checked. So we have not paved the county's road for them. So as a separate motion, I'm going to suggest, and you can add comments, is that we request the supervisors to help us improve that road for access to the school. But you can't go spend money on their road, so it's not a part of the project. I just didn't want you to be surprised at that.
Is there anything dependent upon that road being improved?
It's
that would affect,
it's
it would
bad
affect
shape.
well, I realize, but that would affect the overall integrity of the project, the other projects.
It's just going to look bad. You drive up and have a
You're going to have nice
road.
asphalt when you get down the road, but you got to go through the road to get to it.
Yeah. So
They're going to want to help you.
Nothing that affects the integrity of the other projects that we're relying on the county to do it first.
No, as long as we're comfortable going down bumpy road until they fix it. But it's no worse than it is now.
And for the project's sake, you got, separate access on the opposite side.
If for some reason they fail to do it, you've got another way to get to the site.
Okay. We got access to the, is that on the
Backside.
west side?
Northwest side.
The school district abuts the, whatever,
Hey,
that clear Willow Creek Road or whatever the
Yeah, I
road
don't
is
know
that
what
runs
road
there.
name is. That's correct. So I'm going to take them individually. I would recommend awarding Paul Jackson and Son as the lowest and best bidder, base bid, and all alternates for $1,953,000.
I'll make a motion that we accept contract A for Bovine Elementary, the base bid plus all options at $1,953,000.
Second.
There's a motion to approve the bid. Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion so carries.
A question,
Yes, sir.
Attorney. Would it be to talk with the county would it be better if our superintendent,
We have to get on their agenda, how does that
I
work?
think so. I think tonight y'all need to approve, it sounded like maybe the last one, Gary's recommendation,
Recommendation authorize me to do that.
authorize the superintendent to speak with the county and actually not speak with the request from the county that they
Yep.
repave the road
We'll
leading to
send a letter.
Bovina Elementary.
We have not talked to them, by the way, so I would make a phone call before we send.
I think that's the motion, coaches, when you get to that point. You need to put that.
I'd go ahead and do it now while we're
Okay.
related to Bovina, if that's okay.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion that our superintendent send a letter to the county, on the road to Bovina.
I have a question before on this motion. Bruce, should we approach the board when it's the new board in session in January, not before January?
Right.
They're already in there.
No, they haven't been sworn in. They don't take office till the 6th of January, so
But
they're not the board.
The old board wouldn't have time to act anyway.
Right,
well,
the old board is actually, their
But
resignations
but the
take-
paperwork could get shuffled to the side and the new board might not ever see it.
Correct.
I'm not even sure that the old board has another meeting. I think they had their
Out on
last,
the the end of the
I
month.
think
so
they had their
don't have
last
January.
meeting, right.
Because they don't go in until the 6th of January.
Maybe
It
that
would
was.
have affected their retirement, so they're going out on the first, or the 31st.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, I think the motion's to be to request the board of supervisors either way.
I'll wait till
You-
January.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, you can go ahead and talk to them if it's approved tonight.
Sure.
But for official purposes, it should be
I'm
put on,
sorry.
it should be put on their agenda. I think he'll call them and send a formal letter to them requesting that it be done. This board's approved it, and hopefully at the first meeting or close to it, they'll put it on their agenda to consider.
So there's a motion on the floor, is there
A second.
So moved and properly second, and we approve. Are there any questions? Any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion, so carried.
Before I talk about contract B, I really should have informed you about the total budget before we did this. Both of these projects together were about $700,000 over budget. The junior highs that I'm fixing to talk to you in a minute were under budget, which was a much larger projects. We still have $1.2 million in contingency in the overall district budget. So budget-wise, we're comfortable that we're okay with the two bids, or really the three bids. But before I move on to the other one, I wanted to make sure you heard that.
But the reasoning for going over budget is we changed the scope of what we're doing
At
at the two
Bovina and
schools.
South Park, the scope grew by
At the two schools, we
size
changed the scope.
of the additions is the primary issue. The original program was 2 regular classrooms, and they ended up with PE and music classrooms, which are larger. Still
So
a good bid.
it's to the benefit of the children, it's
Correct.
not that we just
Right, it wasn't
are
an
spending more
arbitrary decision.
money.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
So contract B, South Park Elementary, we're recommending the base bid of $1,106,000. We took an alternate to look at an alternative vestibule entry to the building, which was a $71,000 price tag. Neither the principal nor we think that that is a good value and recommend not awarding that alternate. So we're recommending awarding the base bid of $1,106,000 to Paul Jackson and Son Construction.
I'll make a motion that we accept contract B and award to Paul Jackson and Son for the amount of $1,106,000 for South Park Elementary.
I second the motion.
So moved and properly second. Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion, so carried.
Okay, the next one are the two junior high project bids. A little more complex, but same good results. We did these as contract A, B, or C. So a contractor could be awarded A, another contractor could be awarded B, or they could bid combined on C if that was in the district's best interest. It was in your best interest to do that. You got a better bid on a combined bid than you did on individual projects being awarded separately. So what were the bid results, Paul Jackson and Son, as well as the low bidder, and based on the alternates I'm fixing to describe to you, the combined bid with alternates is $11,485,000. Let me explain the alternates that we're recommending awarding and not awarding. The ones that we're recommending awarding are new seats in the auditorium at Vicksburg Junior High. These will be the same quality seats that we have at the high schools. And adding new marker boards and tack boards throughout both junior high projects. So those were good bids and valued pricing. The ones that we're rejecting is that we had looked at a price for a courtyard at Vicksburg Junior High that was more a decorative thing on the hill. As you know, when we tear down the old building, we'll have a grassy hill there. The alternate was to put a courtyard there, and it was fairly expensive and would have busted the budget, so we're not recommending it. The other alternates we're not recommending were the Phase 2 alternates to the intercom system, the audio enhancement intercom. As you'll recall, in some of the other projects, the base bid gives you the technology to add cameras whenever you choose to add them. So the base system is in the base bid. The alternates were to add the cameras, and we're not recommending that. So we're recommending the award of alternates 3 and 4. So on Vicksburg Junior High and alternate 2 at Warren Central.
By not adding the cameras, we're just not going to have the cameras in every room?
The cameras in the rooms, yes.
Okay.
But the board can at some point, because, we're going to be scaffolded in that implementation anyway, and we've never had the money in the bond to execute that project district-wide, but we can later build a project within next year's budget.
Infrastructure's there.
Infrastructure's there.
Okay.
Technology's there to add them whenever you choose to.
Yep.
I might add that the high schools do have the complete package in them. They've got the cameras in it. All of the rest of the schools would just have the base package. Any questions on that one? Our recommendation is $11,485,000 for Paul Jackson and Son.
A motion that we accept bid for $11,485,000 to Paul Jackson and Sons for the two junior, but this both junior high.
Both junior highs. There'll be one contract.
And that includes the alternates.
Includes the alternates that we recommended. And
second
let me add,
motion.
we will itemize those for accounting purposes so that we keep up with the cost on each of the schools just for accounting purposes, but it's one contract.
I second the motion.
The move and properly second that we approve the bid. Are there any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion so carried.
Thank you. Jason will be quicker than I am.
And not near as confusing. All right, so you have our update in front of you. It's kind of exciting to see that generally this time of year contractors slow down. There's not a lot going on.
Thanks, David.
But it's a little different over here. Vicksburg High, we are moving right along. They have the first coat of paint in the new building out front. Parking lot is down as far as baseboards, the hill, the grass sodded. And all that. So there's a lot going on there. The gym lobby expansion footings are poured. Basically, the main thing you didn't know is we're moving for a spring of 2020 building swap over to where we can move kids into the new building and take over part of the existing building and really start the renovation process there.
I got to add, if you haven't been by there, go see the green glass, please.
It's beautiful.
It's pretty special.
It's beautiful. When we're talking about Vicksburg High School and green glass, you guys had asked us anything over $15,000 for other change order contingency to bring it to you. There's been some floor plan revisions made just via walkthrough with leadership, opening up some doors, adding glass, rerouting some walkways to the elevator, kind of keeping that a hallway instead of having to go through a space to get to the elevator. We have a price from the contractor to do that. If you do it as a change order, which we do not recommend, the total is $21,570. If you have plenty of project contingency in this project, if we pay for it with that, that number will come down.
Take overhead profit.
Yeah, we'll take contractor's overhead and profit out of that. So I can finish my update, or you can make a motion on that now if you'd like.
So you're asking us to authorize that to be paid for out of contingency? That's a change.
Yes.
Not to exceed $21,570, and then we will get it to Mr. Shealy and Bill.
So, I guess when we say it would come down, hopefully it'll come down at least 5,000 or greater.
It'll be roughly, I have the detailed number, but it's about 12% when you get into taxes, bonds, insurance, and overhead.
And that'll be off the 21.5?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Correct.
And that's a contractual documentation. We know
Yeah.
exactly what those numbers are.
Right.
Motion?
I'll make a motion that we pay for this out of contingency on that project, not to exceed 21.5.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. It's been approved. Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion so carried.
All right, moving along. You guys, we've been talking about athletic space too. You guys have now awarded Vicksburg High and Warren Central. Phase 1 is complete. I say that loosely. There's several punch list items to be done at both Warren Central and Vicksburg, but the athletics Phase 1 is complete. Phase 2, Paul Jackson, they have started demoing over here at Vicksburg High School. The site, busting up a lot of concrete. They're moving quick, so we've been pleased with that. Alliant is ready to go to work. They have been sitting back waiting for this meeting, so we expect to see a lot of things going on at Warren Central in January. As far as that
Clarification on phase 1, the track surfacing, we held off on timing of that until the spring, so we didn't damage any of the track doing the construction work on the bleachers, et cetera. So we will withhold that amount out of their pay app and allow them to get retainage on everything else, including the change order that deals with their damages, et cetera.
Correct. That's Steel Probity's asphalt, and they will be responsible for it, and the track service will be applied.
We'll have that change order next board meeting documenting that closeout stuff.
So they will warranty what's there until they get permission to.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. All right, Warren Central, it is moving equally as fast as Vicksburg, though it looks a little different. Building B, CMU is underway. They've got the rough ends for the remaining buildings. If you remember, they did a lot of interior renovations first. That's why it looks like they're behind Vicksburg High. The locker room, if you have not been in the locker room, it is totally demolished. They're putting in metal studs. A lot of the roof is being replaced, which is encouraging over there, so it's not raining inside the building. But there's a lot going on at Warren Central High, just as well as Vicksburg. It's just not as visual yet, but it's coming.
Is it
AOI,
loud?
do I now?
Is it loud, Mr. Green?
I think the biggest adjustment was the acoustic panels when they took those out. Now you can hear over into the next room.
That's right.
So it's kind of an open Beechwood situation, you know, or the way Dana has to do theirs with those, or Warrenton, several bins in this design.
Speaking of incredibly visual, across the street, AOI, those guys are moving very fast. You see a lot of structural steel up. They've just started setting bar joists and roof deck. If you happen to go over there, you will notice they're taking a method that's a little different. You see structural steel and bar joists, and there's no concrete. They have poured footings and spread footings and some grade beams, and they're going to relatively get that building in the dry before they pour concrete. It's done all across the country, just you don't see it very often here. I don't know why, but they're moving right along. They will
The
start.
smart thing that they did is in the lower level where the cafeteria is, there's massive retaining walls. So winter's coming. They got in there and poured all of those retaining walls prior to December
So
getting
it's
here.
got plenty of setup time.
Yeah, it was
Before
really,
the rain
really smart
comes.
planning.
So they're still working some site utilities, getting power, water, and gas to the site. But you'll start seeing some concrete trucks rolling in there the first of the year, probably 1st of February.
I heard Mr. McKellar was running a bulldozer the other day.
We took his hard hat from him. He's trying to I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He's excited as well as everyone. Beechwood renovations, it is ongoing. Parking lot's complete. They are inside. They're going to do the PE floor over Christmas. Then they will continue wrapping up the classrooms and VCT throughout late winter next year. Also, last meeting, you guys awarded the re-roof to Dana Road, Sherman Avenue, and Intermediates. Actually, that first load of roofing material was delivered today at Sherman Avenue, so they are trying to get a little bit of a head start, staging materials while kids are gone over Christmas, but those projects should go pretty fast. Again, completed projects, Vicksburg Junior High and Beechwood re-roofs. Everything in here is, from there on, is kind of self-explanatory. The junior highs, you made a motion on that tonight. Bomar, we're still planning to bid it in February. We had a meeting with leadership today, so we're moving right along with that project. Bovana South Park, you made a motion on it tonight, so you'll see that. in upcoming work. And as far as big ticket items, you guys made the motion on the plan revision for Vicksburg High. We will complete Warren Central High School baseball lights next month. The light system, the poles are in, the pole bases are in. The light systems have been manufactured, and they will ship. They're scheduled to leave, I believe, Georgia, January 6th. We will see that. They will not kill what's there until the new ones are up and running. So they're independent systems. So that is good. And then we've got to complete the punch list on athletic phase 1 within the next 30 days. So.
2 other projects, Warrenton and Redwood, will be bidding right behind Bomar. So there's 3 projects left to bid. I don't know if y'all realize, but you've awarded about $130 million worth of construction so far. Amazing amount of work being done in one community.
I had a Facebook reminder a year ago, some of the things that we had just approved for it to be this far along, it's just mind-boggling.
Any questions from you on any of them?
Make sure you get the Warren Central lights for baseball.
That's right. We'll be put out of a playoff again.
No, we will take care of that.
Thank you guys. Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Burks, before I ask you to come up, Ms. Sullivan is here, and what I'd like to do is we have a resolution in here for Mr. Lewis Sullivan Sr. And I'm not going to read all of it, but I will read just a few of it about Mr. Sullivan. And it says, whereas the Vicksburg Warren School District and the broader Warren County community lost a valued citizen and leader on November 30th, 2019, with the passing of Lewis Israel Sullivan Sr. And whereas Lewis Israel Sullivan Sr. was a patriot who served his country in the United States Army, Israel Sullivan gave 50 years of service to the American Legion Tyler Ford Post, number 213, where he held numerous positions on the state and local levels and was honored with the Mississippi's Outstanding Vietnam-Era Veteran Award in 1980. He was a faithful servant at King Solomon Baptist Church and a dedicated husband for 53 years to Mrs. Alma Sullivan, a loving father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and a trusted friend. Mr. Sullivan will be truly missed by his family, friends, and colleagues, and his legacy to commit and dedication to the community has enriched those fortunate enough to know and work with him. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Vicksburg Warren School District recognized the significant contributions of Mr. Lewis Israel Sullivan Sr. to the youth and all citizens of Warren County, and resolved that the Vicksburg Warren School District honors the memory of Mr. Lewis Israel Sullivan Sr. and celebrate his inspiring legacy of giving and generosity of spirit. Mr. Sullivan also was a school board member when it was the city county. He was on the city board. So with that, Ms. Sullivan, we appreciate everything he did with us. I think I have one that I have written on, Ms. Sullivan. Let me see if I can find it. I'll give you 6, 7, 6. This time, Ms. Burks.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll start with the financials by starting with the bank reconciliation. We've actually reconciled our bank accounts as of October 31st. on your bank reconciliation, you'll see reconciliation differences for accounts payable, payroll clearing, and district funds. Those are the funds that's kind of interwoven. And we've identified the problem that because we're operating in two financial systems, when we bring the numbers over, the two systems are not talking. So we will go live on the payroll piece of in Munis, so we'll be on one system at that point. Once we go live in Munis and have all of our financials in one system, that should go away. We shouldn't see those numbers. But as far as the amounts in our bank account, we are reconciled. These are just what's being reflected on our books based on the two systems trying to talk to each other. Moving on, in front of you, the next page you'll see is our expenditure report. As of October, we have spent 34.5% of our district maintenance budget, and it shows that we've spent 98% of our overall budget, but again, that's only because we have not put in a budget for the construction stuff. What we're doing is we're trying to make sure we understand exactly what's going to be drawn as from a revenue standpoint and what's going to be expended this year from a construction standpoint. Jason and I are scheduled to meet the first week when we get back to sit down and really iron out all those numbers, because I want to make sure what they're showing by project we have in our system. We're going to put attach project codes to each one of the projects so we can readily identify the funding source and expenditures for each of those projects. So right now, as expenditures come in, we put it in our book, put it on our books, and as revenue come on, we put it on our books. But ultimately, what we need to do is get a total for the year and get those put on our budget.
Ms. Burke?
Yes.
I must ask this question because when I was in a meeting with Chad and Coach Stevie on the expenditure report, they say if you don't ask something that all of us could be liable. I already know the answer, but I have to ask it so I can do the proper protocol. Okay. On student activity funds,
Yes, sir.
I see every school has one, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Good job.
I do listen to them.
Okay, so moving on to the revenue, the statement of revenue, you'll see that we've actually gotten in 23.8% of our revenue and 32% of our total revenue. Again, I mentioned last month, and I'll mention again until we actually get our big part of our ad valorem. You're going to see the expenditures be a little higher than the revenue simply because we don't get our biggest part of our ad valorem in until February, March timeframe. Around that time, you'll start to see them level off. And later on in my presentation, when we go through the fund balance report, you'll start to see our fund balance decrease, but that is only because we're spending more right now than we're getting in from revenue. And that leads me right into our cash flow statement. Again, if you look at our statement of cash flow, we started the year with $22 million, and we got $15 million in year-to-date in revenue, but we spent $23.3 million in operations. And that also covers anything that we do to like front load our federal programs and all of that. So again, looking at our current bank balance, we have $14 million. But again, when we did the analysis to determine from month to month what we need to cover operations and payroll and all of those things, as well as front loading our federal programs, we determined that we need about $7.6 million from month to month to have that, and we're well over that. As you look down here, you'll see that's 12% of our overall revenue that we would need at any given time to cover operations. We have $14 million, so right now we're $8 million over what we really need. And one of these days I'm going to convince Mr. Sturgis to let us invest. Okay, moving on to ad valorem. If you look at the chart for ad valorem, you'll notice that we are trending about the same year to year. Last year this time we had 2.185. This year we're at 2.264. And again, if you know, you'll also look at the trend between our per meal value that last year to this year went down some, as well as what we collected for the month of November, year over year. casino revenue. We did not get any revenue in for October, but we got it in November, so it's posted to November. Hopefully, we'll get something in December. But normally, as you can see, for the past 2 years, we have not. They've been missing October and try to make up in November, but this year they didn't. So hopefully, we'll get back on track and be able to see that when we do December. Year to date, we collected $155,000 compared to this time last year we had collected $199,000. All right. This is the report that I mentioned earlier, our statement of revenue, expenditures, and fund balance. Again, our district maintenance fund balance, when you look at all of our expenditures, that's the $18 million of cash we have in the bank. But then if you look at the cash flow, that's $14 million. Again, like I said, that has to do with the front loads that we do with our federal programs and making sure until we get that reimbursement back. And Mr. Sturgis, yes, if you also see the fund balance for all of our student activities. Lastly, MAP. Lastly, MAP year to date. This time last year we had collected $11.59 million year to date. This year we collected $11.4 million month over month. This time last year in November we collected $2.6 million, and this year we collected $2.359. That is my financial report. Any questions?
Any questions? Ms. Burks, it's amazing you got beat on the football field, so you want to bring it over and talk to me about this.
Okay,
You're
now,
still warm.
you
Any other
talk
questions
noise
for
to me.
Any other questions for Ms. Burks?
Dean, I'd like to
Go ahead, sir.
make a motion that we accept the financial officer to Be I Love report today.
There's a motion to accept the financial report. Is there a second?
Do I have to sing Kumbaya to get a second?
Thank you.
The move is about the second. That we accept the financial report. I know, right? Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion so carried. Ms. Burks, you going to Atlanta? Oh, Jackson State is not going.
Don't feel bad. My team ain't no ball either.
You know what? All I'm gonna say is compete with me on academics.
I can tell you that 46 of our work. We'll talk about that later.
Raw scholar. That's all I gotta say.
It took you 100 years to get one. We already had two.
Really?
We're at the general item and proposed consent agenda. Are there any additions or deletions?
I'd like to,
You want to pull it?
yeah, H4.
H4?
And,
H4?
J4
J.
and J7.
So if I'm correct, Coach, you said H4, J4, and J7.
Correct.
Do we have any others? There a motion to approve all but H4, J4, and J7.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda with the H4, J4, and 7.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and properly second that we approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion so carried. Coach, H4.
H4. We have Mr. Green here, right?
Yeah.
And I would just like to, on that, we have also Vicksburg High Principal, Dr. Davis here, and just all the Vicksburg Warren School staff through the district. you know, I really believe that, you know, when we have a situation of sickness, of something that touches the Vicksburg Warren School District, I would like to see a more of a joint effort from all our schools, because we're all in this together. And I would like to see what Warren Central is doing, but I would like to have some kind of way that it can be reached out and an opportunity to anyone in the district that want to help in situations, especially of illness or tragedy, to be able to help if they want to.
Yes, sir.
So I would like for my principals to really, to kind of communicate, not making you do anything, but just asking. I just think that because today it might be me, tomorrow it might be someone else. So we're family, so let's act like it on that. That's it, Mr. Davis.
You want to make a motion to approve?
Just motion to state.
Oh, so that was just for information?
Information on it.
Okay, but we still got to make a motion to, because before you cover.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we accept H4.
Second.
We're moving properly. Second. Any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Like sign, motion so carried. J4, Coach.
J4, Dr. Ross. On J4, I would like to ask that do we have something set that we can all our spend, will as I would say benefit? Is it some way that is brought back to all your staff?
Yes, sir. We have one school psychologist there, far and few to come by, and she is the lead person to ensure that all eligibilities are looked at.
Okay.
So this is a national conference that looks at national trend and national data so that we can stay abreast of.
It helps you. It helps you.
It helps us.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept J4.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
A second
We're
motion.
moving properly. Second that we approve J4. Any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All like sign, motion so carries. Coach?
Dr. Germany.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. You tell your husband thank him so much for that southern practice over at Callaway. Appreciate that. The same thing I was asking Dr. Ross. You have a way that all your staff will be enriched on this?
Not just all of my staff, but all of our pre-K and kindergarten teachers within our district will receive this PD.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept J7.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second
We're
motion.
moving properly. Second that we approve J7. Are there any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion so carries. 16 seconds. It looks like we've run out of here.
Uh-oh. It's not too great.
I don't think there was any action.
16 section?
Did we have any? No, there was no action. That's just reports.
This is a report.
Yeah.
You voted on the ones that starts over in January. So those just on there as far as payments, upcoming payments off.
Thank you. Dr. McGee, you have something?
Yes, sir. All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Benchmark testing window closed, I believe, this week. So some of the schools are still looking over their data. We have a few schools that have their second benchmark scores in. If you look at your packet. So I'm going to ask the principals to come up to just give you a brief overview of where they are right now, and answer any questions that you may have. So I'm looking at Mr. Green, so if he'll come on up first,
Good evening. So if you look at our scores, the because we're on 5x5 this year, we're a little bit different than most of the elementaries and junior high, so we do have our second benchmark results in there. You see there for math, we are right on target for our goals for the year, having exceeded in proficiency about 25 growth, and then growth overall within 2 points of our goal. And then, as I've said a couple of times, the majority of our English testers will not test until the spring. So those numbers look funny because we have not benchmark tested those students. We will do that with this next set of benchmarks, 39 weeks. Looking at our enrollment, ADA, absences, it's pretty much on par for what we have been doing for the entire school year. Our discipline referrals were down drastically during November. You see there, we almost cut those by 70 discipline referrals from the previous month. And so that's pretty much my update. Any questions?
Got any questions? No, sir, we do not. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I do not have my benchmark data for Vicksburg Intermediate. I do not have my benchmark data because the window officially closed for us yesterday, and we still had students up to the last minute benchmark testing, those that have been absent. So that's not up there. Plus, we're still crunching the numbers. School, so we just have the second page looking at school enrollment, ADA, student attendance, and teacher attendance and discipline from October to November. And you know, November was one of the months we were looking at for student attendance. Happy to say that it's not exactly where we want it to be, but it is. For October and November, it's looking better. Our teacher attendance is above. It's at 95. And our discipline each month has gone down, so we're looking where we want to be in that as well.
That's all you have? Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tanya McGee, Principal, Warren Central Intermediate. Again, we will just focus on the second page. We'll go into more detail next board meeting concerning benchmark scores. There was a question concerning teacher attendance. WCI's teacher attendance last month, I calculated it wrong. So if you look, so after talking to Dr. Little, we got that corrected. And we did look at the data and see why our teachers are missing. Right there. Month of October, we had a lot of sick teachers, and we do have a lot of teacher parents that are sick, so that's why I dropped that month, and we're still dealing with sickness in November. You see that our discipline referrals have gone down in the month of November. That is due to PBIS celebrations and our student attendance. The ADA rate, that is going up, but we are overall still, no, not the ADA, the chronic absenteeism. There's 2 or more absentees, but we are working on students coming to school. And that's all for WCI. Any questions?
Thank
you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Charles Stevenson, Principal of Warren Central Junior High. And if you would look at the second page, because we have not finished our benchmark, so we don't have any data for that. Our student enrollment has increased a little since the beginning of the school year and since last month. We had 2 students, and I believe we got 2 more at the end of last week. Our student ADA dropped a little in the month of November. Students with chronic absences increased. And also the teacher attendance rate dropped. We had a lot of illness, teacher illness, and our teachers who had students, who had children, were out. And then the number of discipline referrals dropped. And we have not spent any of our school improvement funds as of last month, but we are in the process of spending that this month.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. saved all my questions for you.
Board members, if you would, you got an extra sheet for Vicksburg High School, single, by itself, so we take a look at that. Look at what's on the screen.
Yes, sir.
What you have.
Good evening, my name is Dr. Davis, I'm the principal at Vicksburg High School. For a second benchmark, we have 52% of our students proficient in reading, 15% proficient in math, and 55% proficient in science. Growth of all, we're at 70% for reading and 72% for math, and growth of the bottom 25, we're 100% for reading and 99% for mathematics.
Can't get much better than 100, can you?
They can.
We've kept our student attendance above 95% since September. Our chronic absences are at 14% for the month of November. Teacher attendance rate is at 91%, and the number of discipline referrals decreased in the month of November to 97.
Dr. D, on the,
You got a question up there, Sam, you got a
on the,
question up there.
I don't know whether it's really a question or not, but just a thought. On the chronic absences in November, does part of that go up because it's consecutive 2 or more days, right? So is that partially because of the week at Thanksgiving, that people scam their kids out longer than the week, and that kind of thing goes into play in that sometimes? Yeah, and I mean, just like my thought would be is that December probably will have the same problem because people don't go to school on Friday and aren't going to come back on Monday or whatever. So I mean, whenever we have those long weeks, there is that chronic absenteeism sometimes.
So that's why it's so important to get the word out.
Right, that you need, right, okay. Well, all right, my kid didn't go this whole week, but he was, this is my question. He was exempt from all his exams. So is that considered
An absent?
an absent? Okay. Okay. Because I'm guilty of it. He can go to school all week. He was exempt. Why did he go? Okay, so I just want to make sure. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Vicksburg Junior High, we have not completed all our benchmark testing also, so sheet number 2. Our enrollment numbers have remained the same from November. Our student ADA is down. That contributes to our early release PD day. Our attendance that day was at 75%. When I updated this week, I met with my MDE coach on Tuesday afternoon. Our updated student attendance is just below 95% through Tuesday for the month of December. Percentage of students with 2 or more absences for November, it's very similar to November. December, very similar to November, just under 10%. Student attendance rate, I know this was a question last board meeting, we're right under 84%. But at my particular school, I have 2 teachers out on extended medical leave. I have 1 teacher out on maternity leave, and then I have a long-term sub to take the place of a math position. So through Tuesday, 53 total absences, but only 16 of those did not count those 4 individual positions. So we're looking at over a 95% teacher attendance rate for the month of December. And then also the discipline referrals was at 20 when we did our updated information on Tuesday with my MDE coach. We're still projecting at a lower rate of about 30 disciplines this month than average.
Any questions?
I got another question. All right, so a permanent sub, if we don't have a qualified teacher in a position and we have a permanent sub, they count to your even if that teacher shows up every day, that's a teacher that's absent from school. Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Same thing on pregnancies. Even if we have a certified person in the room, because we'll request from Kelly for retired teachers do a lot of that. We'll get a long-term certified, but they do count as absences because they're not
If your hired person is not in the building, even if it's for
Yeah.
FMLA, or if it is a permanent sub that's in the building, like my daughter was, all last year. She was, that teacher position was counted as absent all last year.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, thank you. I make a motion that we go into closed session to set the agenda for executive session.
Second.
Moving properly second. This meeting is adjourned.